Hello, everybody. Welcome to another special episode of Community Outbreak. My name is Greg Henniger, your community manager.
I'm Ryan Findall, a QA analyst for H1Z1.
And we have another special guest. He's been on the stream before. You guys might recognize him.
What's up, everybody? Tony, Game Dev Cardo, lead combat and systems designer.
Awesome. So we have a lot to go over today, and I just want to preface this that it's going to be kind of a different Community Outbreak. Might be a little bit of a shorter stream. We're really going to focus in on the things that are about to go to the test server, things that have that are on the test server right now,
and a couple of things that may not be there
just
on
yet.
This time.
Yes.
But we're pretty excited.
You might learn some stuff.
We're very excited.
Learn a few things.
Yeah, so this should be a good stream, but just want to preface the stream that it won't be a standard Community Outbreak, no dealer steal or things like that, but we're really going to focus in on game updates.
Yep.
So, first things first, I guess we can kick it over and start talking about some of the changes coming to airdrops.
Yeah. So, you know, it's been a long time coming. I think people have requested the fact that laminated armors are removed from the world.
Correct, yeah.
So they're finally taking a hike. And in response to that, we wanted to kind of mix up the airdrop system just a little bit. So we've got some videos, mainly because this is hard to show when we're just chilling here.
Right, and there might be some choppiness and frame issues here, but
because it is a recorded video. So what airdrops are going to do now, at most, they're going to spawn up to 3 drops per plane.
So we got the one. It's coming in.
Another one's going to drop here in just a second. And then here comes 2. And then a third one. And then with this, there's still obviously every drop will have a Lammy. We're foreseeing that the overall number of Lammies in a match are going to significantly kind of drop down since there's no more Lammies in the map themselves.
Right.
And this will kind of give something, a place for people to go to and fight over. And it removes the RNG of the Lammy because if you want one, you just go get one and then you fight over it. So
now with the 3 airdrops that come down, is that going to be for every airdrop that comes?
No. As the safe zone gets smaller, the number is reduced as well.
Okay.
So it's basically 3 in the beginning of the game when there's more people, and then as the match goes on, the zone shrink, the number that actually drop reduce as well.
Right.
So what the exciting part about this for us, 1, is it gives people to fight over, but 2, the early game RNG of I have a shotgun, you have a shotgun, you got a Lammy, I didn't, so therefore you win, is gone.
Right.
So now in the beginning of the game, it's much more even and a lot less RNG.
Right. So yeah, early on in this stream, we're going to be showing some pre-recorded videos. As you'll see, there's some pandy cam and thing in there.
Yeah.
But we're a little bit later in the show, we're going to jump onto QA, our internal QA build, show off some more stuff. But some of these things aren't on that QA build just yet, so we wanted to make sure that we had some video for you guys. So I think there's another
there is
airdrop video we're going to show.
So the other thing we want to do is we want to increase the risk of the airdrops, which essentially is, I'm not sure if there's somebody. I can see the smoke. It's over the hill. I'm not sure if somebody's there or not. So as a kind of a little bit of a heads up, now when someone opens an airdrop, it's actually a kickoff a flare.
Nice.
So now you know that drop is actually populated. So now you can make a more informed decision on how you actually want to approach the drop.
Right.
So there's more drops, but now they're more risky, even though the reward is there.
Okay, cool.
So it should be pretty interesting.
Yeah, if you want to go back to that 13 mark, I think. So yeah, this should be viewable from
pretty
darn
far
far away.
Yep. So someone will open it. Once it's open.
So there's a player over there. Yeah. The moment he opens it, not the moment the ticker starts, right? It's the moment it
actually gets open.
Opens up.
When you're on a drop, you now have a moment of stress because you're like, I need to get my stuff and I need to get out.
Right.
So we'll see how that plays out. See how it's received on test.
Totally.
And then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
As always.
And now that we have multiple airdrops, you can just be seeing those flares go up.
Yep.
And you're gonna want to keep your eyes on them the entire time because you don't know if you look away and then the flare goes and then you look back and the flare's already dissipated, you might have missed the fact that somebody's already gone there.
Exactly. So it should be pretty interesting.
Yeah. We got one final video on the airdrop changes here.
And one of the other big ones is we finally changed bombs and how they work. Bombs are always centered on the crate now. They basically take a rotation of the crate, but the center line of the bombs will always be on the crate. Bombs no longer one-shot people. They no longer one-shot cars. They're more around the model of explosive barrels were. So they're still there. They're still a threat, but they're not as frustrating and as BS as they used to be.
Right.
Because it always sucked. And then some of the other things that we're working on with the bombs that's not in this current build, just so people know, is actually setting up a pattern of bombs so they don't clump. So this way you don't get stuck by the RNG of I got 3 bombs that clump together, I can't dodge this, or the 3 bombs are on top of each other, so I still kind of get insta-gibbed or whatever. So
Right.
You can dodge it easier.
So
Hey, you might want to leave that inventory open a little bit longer because some people have noticed a couple of things about it.
Yeah, we're definitely going to talk
Really?
more about that later
We're
when we
gonna
jump
get
onto
there.
QA. So
Alright.
just
Exactly.
hold you onto your horses there, chat.
All right, horse held.
But
Bye.
yeah, so a little bit more about the airdrops, right? So they're going to come down. Let's say you have the crate here. They're guaranteed to hit the crate. It's
hit
going
the
to be
crate.
right in the center.
Yep.
Is it always going to be in the same pattern, or is it going to rotate
They'll
kind
rotate.
of like this?
They'll kind of rotate, yeah. So
Okay.
the issue we were having before was like airdrop is way out there. The system picked like a random spot inside of a radius and started there.
Mm-hmm.
And so like you're chilling at the edge of the ring, and then you get blown up.
Right.
You're like, what? I'm nowhere near. Like what the?
Yeah.
Really? So and that it sucks. It was frustrating. So now make sure that they stay centered.
And this works in
yeah.
the same with the multiple airdrops as well? Or by
Yeah.
the time the airdrops come in, there's only 1 or 2 airdrops dropping?
No. So it'll have the multiple airdrops, and then the bombs pick a drop.
Oh, they pick one of the drops that are out there. Okay, cool.
So,
Awesome. So, we'll be keeping an eye on in chat, but we're just going to keep rolling on here. Next, we have an update to the combat zone that I
We do.
think was heavily requested, and this is kind of our first pass at getting this particular thing
So-
in the combat zone.
yeah, so there's a few things where, people have been saying, can you just please pull out all the loot? Because there's just like loot everywhere and, performance and whatnot. So what we've done is we've jacked up all the ammo that you guys are carrying in the combat zone.
Mm-hmm.
You have 300 rounds per gun.
Mm-hmm.
The only drops that are in the combat zone now are helmets and makeshift still.
Okay.
So that's the only loot that spawns. But the thing is, and what we're looking at right here, is when you get the 5-minute mark, that there's 5 minutes relating in the combat zone,
Mm-hmm.
a sniper's going to spawn in your 3rd slot every time. So
All right.
as the server's shutting down, you always get a.
So the last
the
5
sniper rifle.
minutes of the server shutting down is just going to be a sniper fest.
It is going to be a sniper fest
And
for the last.
this is incredible as well because no other time have we been able to consistently practice with the hunting rifle.
Yes.
The closest thing to it that we've had in the past is shoddy snipes.
Yep.
And still, that's a mode that's just exclusive to that. That's only happens every once in a while. This is really, really giving players that new opportunity to practice with something that they might not get so often in a
Exactly.
real game. And
Yep.
by the time they do pick it up, they're like, well, I know this is a great weapon. I've seen what it can do,
Yeah.
but I don't have
I
the
don't know
skill
how to
there
use
because
it.
I haven't practiced.
Exactly.
And it still maintains the majority of the combat zone is going to not be an all-out snipe fest. It's going to be the stuff you know and love. And just to reiterate, the only things that are going to spawn in combat zone are going to be laminated armor and helmets.
Makeshifts.
Makeshift.
Oh, makeshifts.
Yep,
Makeshifts. That's
and
right.
helmets, Yep.
Okay, cool. So
Yep.
that'll help with performance, I think, on
Yep.
the
Yeah,
combat
because
zone as well.
We're spawning a lot of stuff in there
Mhm.
right now. And then one thing I'm noticing in chat, a lot of people are like grenade slot, grenade slot, grenade slot. We're gonna get to that.
We'll get
So
there.
just hang tight.
We'll get there.
And we're gonna go over it, and we're gonna get it on test, and we're gonna see how it's received.
Mhm.
And then we're gonna go over there. So just give us a minute, and we'll explain why. Because
Yes.
it'll make more sense once you guys actually have context.
Yes, the flow of the
Um,
show. There's method to our madness.
Believe it or not.
Yeah,
So
right.
we'll get there. So just hang tight, and we'll go over it all. And then again, we'll get feedback, and then we'll take it from there. So just
Perfect.
hang tight.
So
for a
I
second.
know one of the big things that players have been asking for is kind of the return of some of the outplay mechanics, and I know we recently talked about things like drop shotting and seat swapping, things like that.
Yeah.
You have a video that shows off some of the drop shotting, I believe,
We do, or we could just do it.
or we could just do
We
it.
could
Could
just
just
do
do
it.
it.
And we could just
Yeah, I
jump
guess we
right
can
into
just
it.
Do it.
All right. Well, then let's hold on to that for a little bit later
Yeah.
and go into
Yeah, we're gonna do some audio stuff. So
yeah.
we're gonna go over some audio changes. We're gonna get back to the outplay. Don't you guys worry. We know you guys are super excited for that. And the reason why we're gonna hop back to audio is we want to provide a little bit of context.
Before we jump on to QA.
And then we're
correct.
going to jump on a QA because you guys are going to hear things that are a little bit different,
Mhm.
but it's going to help quite a bit when it comes to combat scenarios.
Yeah, so our audio team
Yes.
recently took a trip out to a really cool spot out in Idaho
They did.
where a lot of high impact sound recording happens. So
Yes.
when all these things are happening, people aren't freaking out. So this
Yep.
is an area in Idaho specifically for firing off these high caliber weapons. And I'll jump right back over.
So cool.
We have all new weapon sounds
Yep. And
for our major weapons.
before we hop there, let me interject something. So we've seen, obviously, a lot of the feedback on old audio sounds and old weapon sounds.
Right.
And the thing is we've added the new audio occlusion system, which provides way better positional audio.
Right.
So, you always have the question of, I don't know if this dude's on the other side of the wall of me or above me.
Or in the same room
or in
as
the same
me.
room as me. Like, you can't tell because there was none of that. So we actually added all of that in. However, the format of the current sounds of the game and the old sounds of the game aren't compatible with any of that, and that the system needs to actually process it correctly. So we need new audio sounds. So that's why we did new sounds, and that's why we re-recorded everything so it was in the right format for the system to actually support it. Because for us, from a gameplay side of things, your enemy's position was the most priority.
Yeah.
To know whether they're inside, whether they're outside, where they're at, and all those kinds of things. So we'll go over some of these videos for some of the new weapon firing, some of the new audio, because it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So.
And so as you'll see in these videos, they are kind of out in the wilderness. There's a lot of ambient sounds, but there's also a ton of microphones, as you'll see in this one right here, picking up all of the audio. So what you're hearing right now specifically is not going to be a one-to-one to what you're hearing in game in this video is what I'm talking about. So
exactly.
once we get in game, and what we wanted to show you beforehand is all of these. And they captured them in different scenarios. So this is one of the urban areas. They can get the audio reflecting off of the wall and the car and the tank over there. So, it obviously sounds different. They have, I was talking to the audio team right before I came down. They have microphones inside that building as well. And there are just microphones everywhere because we want to make sure we get that dynamic range for the new audio occlusion sounds.
Yeah.
The guys in the background are like,
yeah, they were happy.
That sounded good. That sounded real good.
I'm telling you, the guy in the white shirt in the background is totally Mike from Breaking Bad, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
100%.
Yeah, he has a side job.
He does. And lastly but not least, the shotgun.
Yeah, so here's the shotgun.
Yeah, so it was cool. So that was kind of some of the part of the process of recording the new sounds to get them in game. So now we're going to head in game.
Yeah, so we're going to jump into our QA server. So basically what's on QA is not always necessarily going to be what's going to test. And just a little bit of information, we're going to try and get everything up onto the test server as early as Monday. If we can, we're going to be working through the weekend. So it's sorry for the team that hasn't heard about that yet and you're watching the show. No.
Right. No, they're definitely
I'm breaking the
aware.
bad news. No, so yeah, we're going to try and get all of this stuff up onto the test server as soon as we can, but it's looking more like early next week before we push it live. So you guys will get your hands on it early next week, but we wanted to make sure we showed it off right now. So let's talk a little bit about, do we want to just jump into the outplay mechanics that we
So
kind of talked about?
what I'll do
Actually,
is...
yeah, go ahead and just drive over.
Are you still muted on yours?
You're out there. Yeah, I am.
Am I? Oh, I am.
I've got a bunch of other people over here in QA. So
Here, I'll go to both PCs just to show.
There we go. My audio's back now.
And then let me know when you're ready
Yeah.
to do your thing.
Yeah, I'm good now. So basically, we've heard the cry about outplay and whatnot.
Ooh.
So we are definitely working on a lot of those systems that people are looking for. Whether or not, it's so there's the drop shots, there's the seat swaps. We are working on these. The seat swap, we know everybody's super excited about. That's one of the ones that's not quite going to test just yet, but we are getting there. There's some issues with it we want to solve. That was issues way back in the day. Shooting through the pillar, the collision, making sure there's no glare on the windshields that are hiding you. The little things, but the core mechanics will maintain, which is exciting. Now you can already kind of hear all the new weapon audio in here as we're running around. So if I'm outside.
So I'll go ahead and mute mine so you can hear just his side of things.
So and there's some other people on the QA server right now that you might hear as well.
So we're going to hear it. So again, get a lot of the reverb, and then when you go inside.
And this is what I hear outside. If you want to go ahead and mute yours.
Yeah. All right. So now I'm inside. So that's what an inside bullet sounds like.
Go for it.
But now since he has line of sight, so the whole thing kind of changes, and it works as well on broken windows and whatnot. And if I'm outside and he's inside, Apparently someone's testing bombs. So now you're getting more of the reverb, but a muted sound because you're inside and your opponent's outside. Footsteps as well are also in the system. So if I open this door and Wi-Fi kind of runs back and forth, here I'll unmute. Wi-Fi, if you want to mute.
I'm using the quietest shoes, so I should probably. All right, no.
Sarah,
okay.
do you want to crank up the game audio a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, you guys will be able to
give me
hear
just
this
a
for
second
yourselves.
here.
It's
All right, go ahead.
And it's going to, basically as he goes by, it's going to start dropping off.
yeah, there you go.
So it really fades off. And so again, the directional and the positioning is infinitely better than what we have on live. Because, as you know, right now on live, it doesn't matter if he's walking here or out there. It just sounds exactly the same because none of this stuff is actually being processed, which is cool.
Yeah, so do you want to show off a little bit of the drop shotting again?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'm terrible at it, but we totally can. So, it's just the same. Or with the AK, as you run, you drop, and you can shoot all the way down.
So now I know when we brought back these outplay mechanics, when they were in the game early on, they were basically people exploiting unintentional gameplay.
Yeah.
And so when we brought them back, we wanted to make sure that there was a design behind them, a reason to have them there, and not just straight up bringing it back in the old way.
Yeah. So one of the things like with drop shots, like it still, we want to do a little bit of work on it so it feels more fluid. But from a balance standpoint, one of the things that made it very OP way back in the day was the fact that the AR was horizontal only. So you could just lay into it, and your reticle would just kind of stay at the same height. But now, since we've kind of fixed that spam issue, it helped it with this as well. And so there wasn't really a whole lot that needed to be done to the drop shot to kind of quote-unquote balance it. It just kind of took care of itself over time.
Self-balancing.
Self-balancing.
That's good game design right there.
Mainly because now the AR is balanced because, as you know, it stays flat, and if you rail on it, it
Right.
starts
Speaking about the AR and the shotgun, what's on test right now will be making its way to live, if not already, but a little bit later today. I don't know if it went out just now because we're down in the studio, but they are bringing the new, it's a small adjustments to the AR and the shotgun. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so there's a slight adjustment in recoil, which is essentially a recoil delay, meaning the time it takes from when you kick out and how long your reticle hangs and then comes back in. That helps with the spam, as well as a refire update, meaning that you can't. It's very, very slight, very slight. We don't want to make the weapon feel clunky or unresponsive.
Right.
But we slowed that down just a little bit. And then for the shotgun, essentially it no longer, it shouldn't one pump past 10 now. It's full power up to 10, and we lowered the headshot multiplier. When we looked at all of our data, all of the one pumps past intended range were because people were landing pellets in the head. So we felt like the headshot multi was too high.
Right.
And so by pulling that down without really touching a whole lot of the damage 10 or below, or actually touching the damage 10 or below, it brings the shotgun right into where we wanted it to.
Perfect.
So that's kind of what happened with the shotgun.
Yeah, and there was an in-game survey that that we put out that we found very illuminating. We were obviously listening to feedback across all of our social channels, Twitter, Twitch, Discord, Reddit, the in-game survey as well. And this is a little feedback that we got. Would you like? How would you feel if all these changes went straight to the live servers tomorrow? And this is in regards to the recent AR and shotgun changes. And it seems like pretty overwhelmingly satisfied there.
Yeah, I'd say people were happy.
Yeah.
So it's going. As far as the weapons and the tuning changes go, I know there's a lot of I don't know what word I'm looking for right now. It's been a long week, but people were upset because we keep changing it so often. When we came back and, when I stepped into the role of combat lead, I've said this a few times, I wasn't happy with how the game felt and where it was at. I felt it wasn't as close to how it should have been from way back in the day. And so that's why we did this last set of tuning passes with kind of slowing everything down and changing the way it feels. So the set of changes after the patch goes to test today for weapons, that's where it's staying.
All right.
So the recoil, the reset, the amount of speed and drop, all the things that are about muscle memory and learning will stay. In the future, we may play with things like damage or armor pass-through, or on the AK, it could be something like rate of fire or things like that.
Maybe some, special, unique things that only appear in events or stuff like that.
But like the core of it, that muscle memory that you guys come to play every day, like that is not going to change because like it's changed in this game just way too many freaking times.
It took us a while to get there, but I definitely feel like we're in a really good spot with weapon changes.
Exactly.
Thanks to the community, their direct feedback, people in the focus group. Just across the board, we want to thank everybody that came out of the woodwork to, answer the survey, do things like that. I think we're in a really good spot.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of requests in chat if I can roll and shoot. I'm not sure if I can in this build, but it is. No, it stops me. But it is something that I've asked the combat guys to put the request in, so we will let you do that again. Because, again, it was one of those things that people were – it's honestly, it's just kind of stupid fun. It's fun to do. So you can't do it right now. You can't do it in this build, but it's going to be something that we do get back in.
Nice. So it looks like we got a lot of new viewers just now. You want to give them a quick shot of the seat swapping again?
Yeah, totally. So current seat swap is it's the old school one, like in Z1, where it's full speed, swap, shoot, hop back in, and then just kind of take off and keep going. That's what we have right now. Do it again.
Yeah, so you can hit Wi-Fi in the center of town.
There it is.
So there you go. All
See, that's pretty damn satisfying. And then right into a rock.
Exactly. So that's how it is right now. And again, with the seat swap, that's not ready to go to test. There's some things about it. We want to make sure that you can't, shoot through the pillars. There were like the weird glitches, and there's the glare on the windows, stuff like that. So we want to make sure that it goes in that form. But we are definitely doing everything we can to to respect the what used to be there.
Right.
For that.
Speaking of respect. Our art director, Jill, came down here and was like, let's show off some of the nighttime stuff.
Yeah, so
let me go back to the camera.
Yeah, there has been some work on that as well. And this isn't just for nighttime. It's a pass on all of the lighting in the game, period, to make it more performant.
Sorry, quick question from chat.
Yeah.
Is it just seat swapping between the front seat, or is it also you can seat swap to the back seat too?
As it sits right now,
Sweet swapping.
You are free to go to whatever seat you want it to be.
All right, thanks for answering.
That's where it's at right now.
Free for all sweet swapping.
So,
that's the official call.
Tongue twister, exactly.
All right, let me know when you're ready.
So the lighting pass was done with a few things in mind. One was, and one of the main reasons was because the new lighting is more performant, and it's much more it's
which is
cheaper to
something
render.
that's kept us from
doing
a lot of nighttime stuff. Yeah.
But even outside of the nighttime games, things like muzzle flashes and whatnot are now more performant than they were before.
Perfect.
So even things when it's not nighttime are improved.
Right.
But yeah, I guess if you want to hop over to my cam, so some of the stuff for nighttime and the lighting changes, it's basically a lot of the fall-off values. But they've gone through and they've done things like add the point lights and whatnot on the actual muzzle flashes.
Nice.
So if we do nighttime events, identifying other players and seeing them will be a lot easier to see. Again, we don't expect this to really impact mainstream BR because all those are during the day. But as you can see now, the ground around Wi-Fi is all lit up.
Yeah.
Which is cool. And then some of the other things that changed as well, and this would be a good segue into us talking about it, is the grenade slot.
Yes.
So
here we go.
Yeah. So
here you go, chat.
One more thing on the lighting. So like the fire from the mollies now actually illuminates around the ground as well. So that looks pretty cool.
And then when you light yourself on fire.
Yeah, when you light yourself on fire. So it helps. So grenade slot. Why is there a grenade slot? Oh my God, why did you add a grenade slot? What are you guys doing, right? So the reason why we added a grenade slot is because grenade anti-spam.
Okay.
Sounds weird. It's like, well, you're giving a dedicated grenade slot. How is that less spam? Because there is going to be a significant cooldown on nades. And it's going to be global across all nades. So we want throwing nades to be a choice, especially with some of the outplay that we're adding, right? So for example, if we add a Molotov and we add a smoke, and I throw said Molotov, and then, I don't know why I dragged that, and then I chuck a smoke on top of it, I probably bounce that out. Did I catch the center?
Doesn't look like it.
No, I didn't catch the center.
Just missed it.
Just missed it, but anyway, it would actually put that out if I actually caught it.
Oh, there it is. You got the edge of it.
Did the edge finally catch it? So this way, there's some counterplay. What we want is we want the ability to be like, do I want to throw this frag grenade, or am I going to hold on to it so I can chuck my smoke in case I need it? So it's more of a choice. It's not just an instant go-to, which makes it more interesting in combat.
Right.
Let's see. The other thing is, can we kick this back to daytime?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I got
go
it.
back to main camera.
Okay, cool. You got it. Thanks, dude. The other thing is, oh crap! Now I lost my train of thought.
You want to talk about the UI rebrand a little bit?
Yeah, there was one more thing I want to talk about. Nades.
Grenade slot. Rolling?
No. Oh yeah, thank you, dude.
Yeah,
Amazing.
right?
All right, so we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna go run 20, and I hope I don't get kicked for hacking, because I might. And then we'll bring in a cop car. So another thing that we noticed, now I'm remembering the other stuff I want to talk about. So people didn't like the A mark. So one thing that we wanted to do, because it is helpful for new players,
Right.
but the problem is currently it's instant. So we've now changed it to a draw over time in an attempt to actually nerf it. So you have to hold it for a while. We'll get this out there. If the feedback still comes back that this is the worst thing ever and people can just throw super accurate instantly, then we'll revisit it again. But this was a very quick change that seems like a pretty good nerf to it. More so though is, and I got to get this angle right, but we've added in. Did I get it? Nope, not far enough. We've added in the bounce and the roll again. We saw a lot of the feedback, which was, hey, we want to be able to, chuck the nade on the right side of the cop car. Yeah, that one made it through, and still get the guy on the other side of the car. So this way, again, that mechanic is being brought back as well, versus how it was, which is where it lands, it just kind of sticks. So the roll is back again on the nade, and it's been tuned. Essentially, the angle of your throw is now what depends how far it goes.
Okay.
So there's a little bit more of a skill required to get that right angle over the distance.
Is it is the terrain levels?
The terrain will
dependent?
impact because of how it hits as
Perfect.
well.
Cool.
The other thing we did to nerf nades is the distance you throw has actually been reduced by about 30%, so you can't throw them as far anymore. So currently is just you can chuck that thing for a mile. So that's been altered. The other thing, Ri-Fi, can you chuck us a nade at me, a frag?
What do you want? Just anything?
Yeah, frag should do it. So hopefully this is a little bit better. Yep.
Quick question from the chat on
Yep.
how smokes and mollies interact. What happens if you throw a molly into an existing smoke cloud?
It doesn't light on fire.
All right, thank
Yep,
you.
you're welcome. So we've actually made the projectile that is the grenade slightly bigger, so they're easier to see. Looks like it's not actually showing on this build is the trail that we made a little bit more.
Do you have tracers turned on?
Yeah. So I'm not sure why the trail's not showing up.
I mean, just throw
And
it
again,
right
we're
at
on
you.
the QA build right now, so
it's not the.
yeah, I think nice, good throw.
So hopefully I don't get kicked.
Nice.
Don't get kicked.
The solid
So-
wave.
Yeah, so we do have so nades have been significantly nerfed. Now, the question of why a nade slot versus I guess if you want to chuck that at me, we'll show that. We've also reduced the kill radius of a nade, so now you got to land it at their feet. So if that nade lands and I'm just a little bit out, 26 damage, where before that would have killed you 100%. So nades have taken a severe nerf and kind of kicking the nuts. So why a nade slot? Well, two things. We didn't want people to be able to equip multiple nades and switch through them, even though the cooldown is there. It's just not desired functionality. And then also we kind of wanted people to free up the ability to kind of roll a loadout. So we brought back the Magnum to be the anti-vehicle, and it's doing a really, really good job.
Right.
But so it shouldn't. We don't want it to be a choice of AK shotgun or AR shotgun and a nade, or AR shotgun AK, or however you want to roll with it, because nades are thrown so infrequently, and so we wanted to free up that third slot. So yes, while there is a dedicated nade slot, there's going to be so much less nade spam, and we want people to be able to roll the weapon loadout that they want to use, especially with things like the Magnum coming back.
Right.
Or the Magnum is back as the anti-vehicle. So that was important. So that's kind of why we did it. So we'll get it to test. Post your feedback, guys. We'll see what you guys think, and then
Yeah.
we'll go from there.
Yeah, we'll have another survey
Yeah,
like we
absolutely.
do. Surveys are going to become kind of the new norm. It's really great feedback for us, and we
It's
can
super helpful.
yeah, we
Super
can
helpful.
boil it down to really specific topics.
Yep.
So if you want to bring up the new UI,
Oh yeah.
the new UI is our pass on the branding that we did on the front end. Kind of cleaned everything up, made it
Yep.
look a little sharper. So the portion of the new UI that you're going to see that goes to test is everything that happens in kind of a menu scenario and like this the inventory. When you go back to your main HUD, those bits are still being tweaked and new UIized,
Yeah.
if I can put it that way.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it for sure.
But yeah, if you can bring it back up, you pointed out something earlier that you were thinking about. Now I've lost my train of thought.
I have no idea what you were going to say.
Okay.
It'll come back.
Yeah, it'll probably come back to me. So we've retained a lot of the muscle memory, right?
Yeah, so one thing we're very careful of is when you right-click, all of these things are in the exact same spot as they were prior. It was actually pretty interesting because the first time I went in, they were off by like 2 or 3 pixels.
Yeah.
And Garrett Bronstad went in and he went to right-click to shred something or right-click to equip and he deleted or something instead. And it was just like, what the? And so, all that's been adjusted. So it should feel exactly like it does now from a positional standpoint. It just has the new branding that we have in the front of the game as well.
Another thing that eagle-eyed players have noticed is the changed inventory space amount. There's 2,600.
Oh, for the backpack?
For combat zone?
For carry?
Because
That
you
could
have
be-
300 on 300 on 300 because you have tons and tons of ammo that you've got with the combat zone now.
Yeah, so I think what we did was, it's on the waist pack. I think this is a large waist pack. We changed something in the combat zone to give you more space. You will still only cap at 2,400 in actual BHAR. We had to give you more room in order to give you 900 rounds.
Right.
So but that's, you guys are sharp.
Eagle
you guys are paying
eyes.
attention, man.
Eagle eyes in
Can't
the
get anything
chat.
past these guys. So yeah, so that's that, and then the options menu and stuff has changed as well. So now it all again matches the current stuff that you guys have.
Yeah, so
It's
it's
kind of a nice flow
a
and
nice little
animation.
touch that is kind of bringing everything together.
Yep. Oh, this is new.
I saw a couple people asking about roll, so I'm just gonna grenade roll. So I'm just gonna show you that yes, it does hit, and yes, it does roll. It's not just sticking to the one spot that you throwed it at, and it does have a bit to do with the angle that it comes in at. So that was a bit further out. You're gonna see it bounce a couple more times, finish off with a roll, and it's gonna roll a little bit more.
Yep.
Yeah, and if you guys are noticing that some of the skins that Ri-Fi is rocking, we just launched our newest Zodiac crate, and we think it looks pretty awesome.
There we go.
So if you guys want one of those, Sarah, how can folks get the new Zodiac crate since we just launched it?
So there's a couple different ways you can get them. You can get them the usual way in the in-game marketplace, or they are also still as part of the Twitch commerce program. So if you're watching one of your favorite streamers who's playing H1Z1, you can grab the Zodiac crates from underneath them, and they actually get a cut of that as well.
Nice. So yeah, that's the Zodiac crate. Back to more combat, and you want to talk about animations?
Yeah, we totally can.
Okay, perfect. So I'll go back to main camera, and then I think Ri-Fi, you want to load up live, right? We want Ri-Fi on live.
Yeah, Ri-Fi
Yeah,
live,
sure.
so we can, people can see us side by side because it's super helpful.
Yeah, so we're going to show off what we have currently on live and what's about to go to test. So right now, none of this is on test, with the
Correct.
exception of some of the weapon tunings that we showed off a little earlier.
Yes.
And if you're just now joining us, we're trying to get all of this stuff, or the majority of this stuff. I think some of the stuff that won't go to test next that we showed off today was probably the seat swapping.
Yeah, seat swap.
Still needs a little work.
And I think we're still polishing up drop shot as well, so this way you can roll. and all that
Anything
kind of
from the
fun stuff.
airdrop mechanics that we showed off at the beginning of the show not going?
No, it's gone.
That's going to test too?
gone.
Okay,
Yep.
cool.
Very nice.
So yeah, a lot of the stuff that's going to go to test next week will be, stuff that won't necessarily show up in combat zone, like the new airdrop mechanics and things. So we're going to be doing a lot of play tests. We're going to make sure we have some NA centric ones, some EU centric ones, good time frames for people to do those play tests.
Yep, exactly. So, and the one thing I did pull up before we kind of cut cam was render quality. People are asking like, what is that?
I'll go back to your camera.
There's an option currently in your INI, which is HD Pixel Plus, and all this does is basically it just makes the game sharper as you go up, and you can go the other way and make it look terrible as well. It's just basically a render scale to over-render it and kind of force AA.
Right.
Essentially.
While we wait for Ri-Fi to get into live, do you want to touch a little bit on what the team's currently doing in terms of investigating visibility and color?
Yeah. So visibility is one we see a lot.
A lot. We definitely hear you guys.
So the art team is taking a look currently on a pass for fog levels, haze levels, lighting, and then basically how the character kind of stands out and pops out against the environments. We have tried quite a few things internally over the last week or so, 2 weeks.
Right.
We're still trying to find the one that looks good. It seems to be a trade-off when we get decent visibility in cities. We start to lose that visibility in fields because the backdrop changes.
Right.
So we're looking into see what we can do about that. Now, there's a trade-off and a wise and all hands on deck, because it's the same guys that are working on Z1. So the more resources we put towards the visibility and the lighting in Z2, the longer it's going to take to do Z1. And we really want to get Z1 out there because we know everybody misses it. So that's kind of where the resources have been at. But we are still working on a visibility pass for this. We've seen a lot of the suggestions online. Unfortunately, it's not as easy as just a slider. We're changing that. A lot of the, it's all about the textures and this and that. And that was, I think, one of the big differences between Z2 and Z1. We can't go retexture Z2 because that would just take forever.
Right.
So we're seeing what we can do with the tools that we've got. But we definitely hear you guys loud and clear on visibility. And hopefully we'll have something for you sooner than later on it.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to find a good blend of city visibility plus field visibility because they both matter.
Right. And speaking of Z1, we're going to have another Z1 specific stream next week. So stay tuned for more information on that.
Yep.
So we'll show you guys a little bit more of Z1 and how progress is going on that.
Exactly.
All right. So Ri-Fi, you are
I'm on live.
in.
Oh, so you're on live. All right,
Yes.
sweet. All right, so animations. So everybody's asking for old movement, old animations. So we are slowing down movement. We're going to get to that in just a minute. The old animations, how do I say this? There's no way just to revert back to the old animations. The Morpheme, which is the tool that we use for the animations, has changed, and the networking layer on animations has changed. The old stuff doesn't work anymore. So what we did do is we went back through the current animation set and we tweaked a lot of it. So they're a little bit more representative of the old animations. So for example, when we go to sprint, there's going to be a lot less lean, and you're not leaning very far forward. There's a lot less head bob. So
Right,
Ri-Fi's on the left, he's on live. You can see there's more head bob. And on the right, you're more upright. There's a lot less movement like there used to be.
The head bob is very dramatic.
Yes, it is very dramatic, and it's an effort to help hold basically the head hitbox a lot more still than it is currently on live to make it so you have more reliable shots. Some of the other things that are in there as well, Ri-Fi, if you want to pull out an AR.
Yeah, you got it.
And then just go ahead and stop for me. So you'll notice that Ri-Fi's got the good old chicken wing sticking out there. I do not. So coming out of sprint, my profile is much more slim. It's much more compact. Ri-Fi is not sticking out his elbow, and is sticking out his elbow because he's currently on
quite a bit here.
Yeah, so that's the issue. You can totally get shot from behind a corner, and even after I shoot on mine and I come back, my elbow comes back in, and it keeps it nice and tight like it used to be. Not the good old chicken wing, as everybody's dubbed it.
It's the Achilles heel of live, but it's located right on the elbow.
Yeah, skinny trees are terrible. So the chicken wing is gone, which is good. Overall, the animations in general have been calmed down. There is a lot less movement and sway in your breathing from a remote character instance to keep remote players much more statue-like, again, which will help in combat. Trying to think about what else we did with animations. Just in general, all of them have just been kind of tightened up a little bit to calm them all down like they used to be.
Right.
So we get feedback on this. Again, it's because just simply we can't revert back to what we had because that stuff just doesn't work anymore.
Right.
And we had this animation set, and so a lot of the internal play tests have been better. They definitely feel a lot more in tune to where they used to be. The problems of the new set have been solved with the chicken wing and with the head bob and all that kind of fun stuff. So that is basically how that feels.
Okay.
And the differences for that.
And so as we move into the ENAS conversation, we'll go back to main camera. If you want to pull up that video.
I will.
Looks like there's another little notch there. Do we want to touch on that at all, or are we gonna hold back?
We'll hit that after if Tony wants to after the
totally
ENAS stuff. I know chat is ready to see what we've got for some of our ENAS improvements.
Yep. So.
Would you like me to switch back over to QA so we can get?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the best.
You got it.
All right. So this is a video, obviously, of live and current, and so there's a lot more steps to fixing ENAS than we thought. Some of the initial ones, and people are always asking, we bring back old movement speeds and whatnot, and so the game has slowed down a little bit, but it feels good. And then there's another very key component, which you'll see me put a command in here, and we'll show you what happens, but it's a heading update frequency. Heading frequency update. Anyway, how often your client updates the heading of another client. So we'll just go ahead and play this. So this currently is what happens on live, as you guys know. The dude just kind of teleports back and forth, and it's all crazy, and you can't hit it, and it's frustrating, and all that kind of good stuff. And then, so what we've done is, I went too far. Look at that. There we go. So now, when you erratically, essentially move your mouse back and forth in an attempt to do this, you start to get a movement penalty applied to you, and it's going to slow you down. There's a few reasons why we did it this way versus some of the other ways we could have done it. One of the ways to do it is animation-based movement, which you guys are probably more familiar with in more like RPG-style games, and that's where, like, when you turn direction, your guy kind of slows down and turns and moves. The other one was basically when you use a strafe key, it changes the facing that your dude is looking into.
This is you're about to.
Oh yeah, right on.
This is the important part.
This is the important part. So you see him. All right. So right now, basically, what Gus is doing, one of our combat designers, he's just moving his mouse in one direction, just swiping over and over and over again. That's currently on QA. Now he's going to do it again, but I'm going to turn off the heading improvements. And you can kind of see how he's going back and forth, back and forth. It's not very smooth. It's not very consistent. And then I have him really go into it, and he really starts whipping his mouse. And the remote character and the remote player just doesn't really know where to go because it's being updated so fast. So what we've done is we've changed that.
So this,
and now this is the same movement from his mouse, except for it is 1 billion times better. So this improves some other things too that I want to talk about. So I'm sure you guys have seen it on live when you get killed by somebody with a shotgun, and they're not even freaking looking at you, and you're just like, dude, what? He wasn't even. That was this issue.
Right.
You know, once we dug into it, we realized what was going on, which was his heading on his PC. He was looking at you. Your client didn't update that yet. So now that it updates, he will be looking at you. But what this does is close quarters combat. You guys are actually going to be facing each other now instead of the two of you shooting at side profile. It cleaned up so much. It was such a big improvement, and we're really happy to kind of get this in.
Can you move away from that fire?
It
sounds like we're hanging out by a campfire.
It's a fireside chat.
It's a nice little fireside chat.
That's not me. That's
Oh, is that me?
Yeah.
Oh, it's you. Yeah, you're standing by the fire.
Hello, fire. You're amazing. So the
let's show that video one more time.
Yeah, the heading update it was such a big one, dude. All right, so again, this is him with it on, moving his mouse in one direction. And I'm going to turn it off. And now he just starts looking super broken. Again, he's moving his mouse in a singular direction. He's not going back and forth. But the character is going back and forth because it's trying to figure out which way it's actually going. Yeah. It was the root of so many issues.
And so it's a huge win.
And then we turn it on, and there he is.
Yeah, and now he's just zipping around
Yes.
in an exaggerated way a little bit.
Yep, and again, you know.
Yeah, let's go back to show the very beginning of this where it shows what the ENAS is currently, and it's what we've been fighting against for such a long time.
Yep.
And I mean, just looking at the enemy's head placement the entire time too.
It's
You
just
have
working all over the
the
place.
bob that you were talking about with the sprint, and not only that, he's not updating fast enough, so you don't know which direction he's going to turn in as he's coming at you. I mean, you can assume sure he's going right, left, but that's what do? You just fire down the center and hope he runs back into the bullets? I mean, this is very difficult to necessarily go against.
And so now, and we will show the ENAS POV. Don't worry, guys. I'll do that in game. And then this is the new with the heading updates and the anti-ENAS stuff on. So basically, as this guy's whipping his mouse back and forth, he gets a movement penalty applied to him for doing that.
Right. And so this isn't just like across the board.
No.
It's going to penalize you every time you try and move left or right. This is you really trying to ENAS your way through
a fight, and it's not worth it anymore. So now at this point, like, stand there and take a fight like you're supposed to. Don't try to do stupidness to close the gap. So that's the anti-ENAS. Now from an in-game standpoint, we have retuned this already internally because we're currently feeling it very slightly when we're running around tight corners. But you can kind of whip your mouse. You can kind of see it kicking in a little bit right there. That's why I just said we retuned it. But if I start doing this, my movement speed just cuts down. We're also playing with the amount of delay before it actually lets you reaccelerate. We've shortened that as well, so it doesn't feel so clunky when you do kick into it. Because our main goal with this, and the only thing that we want to impact for movement, is when I'm running at somebody doing this like a dork, that I can't go anywhere, and it's not worth my time. rip.
Yeah, and Wi-Fi is able to just
Right. That was
tag you right in the head.
Yeah. It's just not worth it, right? And so again, this is there are a lot of knobs that we need to tune with this to make sure that we get the desired effect that we're looking for. Wi-Fi, where are you at? But like, hey, look at me. You can't hit me. Wait, no, you totally can because I'm just chilling. And so this really should help with the ENAS issue that we've had in the game for a long time. And again, our intent for this is that it only impacts you when you are ENASing. If you're in a building and you're looting and you're picking stuff up and you're going around corners and you're doing this and you're doing that, like, see there, it kicked in again. This is why we've already retuned it internally. But it doesn't get in the way of that. We want it to specifically only kick in when someone is trying to close the gap on you, and they're doing this, and then they're just not going anywhere.
Now there was an overall slight decrease to speed.
There
right?
was, yeah. So we went way back. We slowed the movement speed down in general across the board. Let's see, Wi-Fi, where are you at? So if I go and I'm running like kind of in front of Wi-Fi, the movement is much slower. Not much slower, I should say.
Smoother.
Much smoother. That was
Yeah.
the wrong word. And the teleporting that you used to get, like if someone's running across the screen, they're just kind of skipping a little bit.
Yeah.
All that's gone because the movement speed has calmed down quite a bit. It just feels smoother. It feels a lot more predictable. You can read the animations of your enemy. It feels good. It just feels good.
Yeah, and I know we're showing and talking a lot about it right now, but you're not really going to get a sense for it until you get your own hands on it.
Yes.
And for those of you who are just now joining us, we're hoping to get this build and everything up on it to the test server as early as Monday.
Yep.
So we'll continue to keep you guys involved and all the updates as to where it's at, when it's going to test, things like that. Make sure you follow at H1Z1 on Twitter.
Totally.
Go on our Reddit and all the places we are online. So, did you want to show that third one? That was up to you.
What was the third one?
I think Wi-Fi pointed it out. That guy right there.
Oh, so we'll talk about it. I don't think you can do it right now, can you? No, you can't do it right now.
Okay, so it's not on QA.
No, it's not even on
Not
QA
yet.
yet. So I want to talk for a moment about jump shots as well, because it's something else that always comes back and always pops up. There's a few things that we need to do before we do jump shots. First one is make it so the jump feels better and is just like more responsive, because right now it's like you click, your dude crouches and you wait for it and then it comes up.
Yeah.
So we want to make the jump more responsive again, because that was kind of removed out with the combat update from August.
Yeah, it used to be a nice, skip.
This skip,
skipping
right?
along.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
So I saw someone said, oh, shoot the AR. Yeah, sure, no problem. So we're working on making the jump more responsive. The other thing we're looking at doing as well is making crouch more responsive. We've heard quite a few complaints of, I go to crouch behind an object and it just takes too long to get down, or I'm getting shot on the way down, or any of that stuff. So we're going to look at making crouch more responsive. And then, thanks, bro.
Showing off.
And then what we
Just
may,
showing off.
I'm out of helmets. And what we may choose to do at that point is, what do you call it? I like that helmet. Is, words are hard. Rework the crouch fatigue system.
Okay.
So rather than locking you, it may have a little bit different of an impact on how it feels and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So we definitely wanted to get crouch fatigue out of the game. That's why crouch fatigue went in, or crouch spam out of the game. That's why crouch fatigue went in.
Right.
But we've seen a lot of feedback, and we think there's ways we can iterate on that system.
Yeah.
Doesn't get in the way so much, but still it doesn't make you want to just run across the street crouching. So we'll take a look at that as well. So responsive crouch, responsive jump, and then once we're actually happy with the jump, then we'll build jump shots onto the jump, rather than add jump shots to this jump and then change the jump and then have to redo jump shots again.
Exactly.
Order of operations, right?
Yes, yes.
So, and then just in case there's people who are coming in late, so there's the drop shot. It's back in. We still need to do some more polish on this, so this isn't going to go to test. But
And it's a little self-correcting with the new
with the new AR recoil, because
with the new
before
AR
it
recoil,
was just
yeah.
horizontal, so you just spray.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing that's in there, of course, that people have been asking for is and then the seat swap.
I'm gonna get destroyed again, aren't I?
I don't know, man. That
Let's
last
try.
one.
That was the thing of beauty that
was-
first time. So
That was pretty good. We'll try
let's-
it again real quick.
at least you got
Exactly.
a couple hits in.
Got a couple hits. So that's kind of what we're looking at for those. As far as the drop shots, jump shots, seat swaps, and then the audio system. In case you guys haven't noticed, we do have a new audio system in for audio occlusion. So if I go in here, Rafa, if you want to mute your game real quick.
I'm already muted.
All right, so go ahead and fire a shot. So we get reverb when Wi-Fi is outside, and I'm inside, it's muted. And when I go outside, now we get the full effect. Which is good.
Yeah. Again, for those of you just joining us, we're almost near the end of the stream now, but please go back and rewatch the stream. This stream was chock full of important information and a lot of new stuff that we were talking about today. So definitely worth the rewatch. So yeah, please go back and check that out. Or I'm sure people are already talking about it on Reddit, things like that.
Yeah,
But you guys will be able to get your hands on this as early as next week. Early next week. So you'll be able to try it out for yourself, hear the audio in your ears, not just over stream.
Yep.
Basically everything. So yeah, the airdrop changes, the combat zone update, which brings the sniper rifle into the combat zone in the final 5 minutes. Everybody's going to get a sniper rifle. Will it just automatically give it to them, or will they have to die and then
Once
they
die
respawn
and
back
respawn.
into it?
So I'm guessing what we're going to see is we're going to see everybody kind of
at the
go
5 minute mark, just
kill themselves.
throw a grenade at their feet.
Exactly.
Yeah, the new audio occlusion system. Let's see, the new muzzle flashes in the night. Looks great now. A lot of the lighting systems. The grenade revamp with the drawn arc, the grenade rolling. New animations, and of course the ENAS nerf.
Yep. And then the reworked lighting effects.
Yes.
That are more efficient and less cost performant.
And on the combat server, or the combat zone, the only thing that will spawn on the ground are makeshifts and helmets. Right.
Correct. In an attempt to also increase, because the combat. Oh, and we're adding more spawn areas as well to the combat zone. Forgot that one. Help people kind of not continually get spawn camped, so it should kind of help that whole.
Right.
That whole. It should be a better experience.
Spawning in between two people having a firefight is always.
Exactly. So I did see a few people ask to hear the sniper rifle. That's so good. And then
it's got that nice
you got one?
Echo reverb.
Yeah, I'm pretty far away. Yeah, you can hear it off in the distance. You can hear it echoing off of different stuff.
The mouse.
Switching with both PCs. And this is just his audio, so you're not hearing me actually shoot. Just kind of the reverb coming off of everything.
Yeah. The new system's great.
Yeah.
It really is. It's given the audio designers a lot more control, and we're going to keep refining on it. This is obviously the first version of the system.
Right.
So there's a lot of good stuff coming for it for sure.
Perfect.
So I'm seeing a lot of stuff in chat. Somebody's saying it won't actually be talked about. So FPS, we will talk about that. So there you go. The team is.
Fine, step on me.
Oh, did you say that? I thought it was somebody else.
No, that's me.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, the voice of God, Sarah Flanagan, everybody.
So FPS is obviously always something that we're looking at, something we're looking into. As you guys may have seen, Autanel, our technical director, was talking about it the other day on stream. He did dive in looking at microstutters and what's going on. So he's going to keep on working on those microstutters to find out. Right now, I think he's found some things in the particle systems that are kind of causing hangs.
Right.
When it comes to general FPS and performance, we have a core tech team that looks into things like Windows updates or drivers updates, things that may impede performance, see what's going on. We're actually also collecting a ton of data, which is average FPS over everybody's systems, to see like kind of where we're at, where we used to be. And so this way we know we have more of a statistical average of where we need to kind of get back to. As well. So it is definitely still a concern. It's definitely still something that we're working on. It is a constant topic of everybody here in the studios. While I'm not nearly of the skill set to speak of what exactly they are doing, they are definitely working on it. They're definitely working really hard on it.
Yeah, and that's another important distinction is, a game dev team and studio at large is made up of many different teams.
Exactly.
Combat design, art, core tech, coders, programmers, UI, and while one thing is being worked on, that doesn't mean something else is being neglected.
Exactly.
You know, as we speak, the Z1 team is up there working in tandem with the design team, who are working on things like what you're looking at right now.
Yeah.
While they're working on that, the core tech team's working on FPS and microstutter. So all of these things are being worked on in tandem. So when you see things like new updates come out, things like that, that is not at the detriment of some of the other issues that are currently being worked on.
It's everybody has a different role, right?
Yeah.
You definitely don't
and
want
I'm the
me
community
working.
manager. You don't want me going in there and touching any of this. So we all.
Got this.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. ENAS, I fixed it like that. That was all me.
Switch, right?
I'll take the credit for that one.
Yeah, that's all good. So I think that that was just about all of it, which was a lot.
Yeah, that was
it's
definitely a lot. I thought we were gonna keep this to a shorter stream, but we just landed at 1 hour.
Perfect.
So from all of us here at Daybreak, from the H1Z1 team, we really hope that you guys are you seeing something you want to talk on?
Safe zone gas changes. That's one popped in. Yeah, they are changing. We are going to, and we're going to keep an eye on feedback, but we're going to eliminate all city endings from the game.
Every city ending.
Every city ending. We're just going to pull those things out of there. And we'll see how the feedback is.
It's huge.
Is there a bomb I can just drop onto the desk?
I kind of forgot about that. Main reason is
it's not even in my notes, guys.
I know it wasn't. It just kind of I forgot about that. So
Tony Morton just throwing the script.
It's just you don't even need this.
Get it out of here. Just get it out of here.
So it's the city endings are out, and if I remember correctly, the way that Lenny structured the end zones is like even if it's in a residential area, like the final zone ends in the street instead of like in a house.
Mm-hmm.
Like we basically just recrafted all that crap, and to clean all that up. And then the other side of it is the safe zones will center more than they do now. So they should feel a little bit better in terms of center. They aren't perfectly centered because there's still the skill to react to it. But yeah, so no city endings. Really kind of no POI endings, actually. I think we kind of moved it around that. Yeah, we changed all the gas mechanics, too. So
damn, Tony.
We'll throw that in there.
just
I was like this close to ending the stream, and you're like, 1 second.
1 second.
One
so,
sec.
Yeah. We've been busy.
Yeah. A couple other things that keep coming up is the prestige system. I know when you hit level 100, things like that are being designed.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot to talk about that today. And an update on the scrapyard is we're kind of putting the scrapyard. We're reworking things. So you're not going to see any new updates to the scrapyard in the short term. But we are reworking and working on some new designs. So I just wanted to make sure I got that out because I know there's a lot of people that are wondering about when we're going to put new pieces of crate items into the scrapyard and whatnot.
Yeah.
We are working on a new system.
Yeah.
That's going to be pretty awesome.
Hey, in
and
5 minutes, I'll get a sniper when I die.
very nice.
All right, perfect. So let's try this one more time. Thanks again from all of us here at Daybreak and the H1Z1 team. This has been Community Outbreak. Make sure you tune in next week. We're going to have a Z1 specific related stream when Clegg comes back, and we're going to have some of the developers down here going over some Z1 progress. And have a great rest of your weekend, or have a great weekend, everybody. Your weekend starts now. Community Outbreak is over. It's time for the weekend. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you next time.
Later, everybody.